So really happy to be here. I've done casual connects in multiple countries. They run a fantastic organization and some great events. Love to be here today talking to you about social app marketing. A lot of you are probably new to social app marketing as far as it goes for Twitter. Can I see a show of hands of how many people have done a Twitter campaign? Okay. How about Facebook? Great. So the story today really is about data and audience. So social is obviously a channel, which you're all here to learn a little bit more about how Fixu does things, how the industry looks at social app marketing. But the real story is audience and data. The reason Facebook is so successful, the reason Twitter is becoming so successful is their access to data and access to audience, and the basic ability to segment that audience and target it with the right message at the right time. So here's a little bit about Fixu. We're 800 clients, 2,300 apps. We work with 40 of the top 50 grossing game publishers and app publishers. And today, in its history, we've driven over 2.7 billion installs. I probably am one of the greatest poster childs for Fixu because I was one of their first clients doing user acquisition for a social app called Haywire, which was an international texting and over-the-top messaging app. So I have been in the shoes of the UA manager, the optimization manager, the data analyst, et cetera. So I've done UA, I've been on that side of the table, and now I work for a company that works in partnership with a lot of game companies and a lot of app developers and big brands to market their games and their apps. One thing to note today, Fixu works with about 240 game publishers and game developers. We work with indies, we work with mid-sized developers, and we work with large companies like Disney Mobile, Zynga, and others. As you're probably aware, this is a much simplified slide of the mobile app marketing ecosystem. You've probably seen slides in the past where there's over 900 different mobile ad tech companies. And you probably get calls every day from all of them, and probably including Fixu as well. But as you can see in the app marketing ecosystem, you have social marketing, which is Facebook and Twitter. You have the rise of video this year, which you're looking at ad networks such as Vungle and Ad Colony and RTB access to video ad inventory, which is performing very well for a lot of app developers and publishers. You have traditional display networks. You have rewards-based networks or incentivized networks such as Free My Apps, which is actually owned and operated by Fixu, Tapjoy, NativeX, Flurry, Archie, SponsorPay, and others. And then you have the RTB exchanges. So what you see up there is the supply-side exchanges, such as Mopub, NextAge, Smoto, and Google. There are a lot of companies out there that are trying to be on the demand side. It is extremely hard to do demand-side programmatic buying and have the right optimization algorithms to actually bid on the inventory at the right time, in the right place, on the right device. There are companies that are out there doing it, but again, it's all about audience, it's all about data. And one thing that I would love to convey to all of you is when you're working with a partner and you've built a game and you're now trying to market it, share the data with that partner. Tell them, who their most avid user is. Tell them about your demographics. You may not know for a specific game, but if you're building in a specific genre, you may want to tap into the other games you've built. You may have email addresses on file. You may have your user segmented into whales, into new users that have never made an in-app purchase, and others that are active users. Use those segmentations, take a look at them, see what data you can cross-reference it with, and then work with your partner on social app marketing and everything else in the app marketing ecosystem. So one thing I will convey, and again, it really depends on your budgets, but you really should be leveraging the entire app marketing ecosystem to do your user acquisition. If I can convey anything, don't just pick one channel and stick with it. Really leverage social, rewards, traditional display, RTB exchanges or programmatic buying, and know the right times when to use them. So let's talk a little bit about Facebook, which is one of the reasons you're here. So today, the reason Facebook is so successful, again, is about audience, right? This is the underlying principle. So if you can work, again, in partnership with who is doing your mobile app marketing, or if you're doing it yourself, know your own audience, and then be able to leverage something like Facebook to access over 1 billion mobile users. 51% of all tablet and smartphone users are actually on Facebook. And then the other thing is, we talk to a lot of companies that say, oh yeah, I run Facebook. There's a difference between running Facebook or social marketing and actually doing the optimization around it and using a programmatic platform to do that. So really consider that, because a lot of companies will come to us and they'll say, oh, we have this target CPI, we were able to hit it, and the next question we ask is, okay, well, what type of volume are you able to achieve? And then they say, well, that's the problem. I have trouble achieving volume at the specific CPI that I'm looking for. So don't just measure CPI, measure what type of access you can get at volume. And then look for a partner that has the right tools and tactics where you can generate huge volumes of high quality users which map to your demographic that you think is going to present you with a good ROI. And then the long-term value. Look at the highly granular marketing tools that are out there that Facebook offers, and look for those unique characteristics or interests that people have in your game or in your series of games, and look to find them on the social channels. So as you know, a bunch of you already said in the room that you have experimented or are heavily using the mobile app install ad unit. It links directly to the App Store. If you haven't done this, you probably have seen this in your news feed. That's where it appears, in your mobile news feed. And it was introduced in August 2012. We were one of Facebook's first partners in introducing this to the market. So here's something to take a look at if you haven't seen a breakdown of this, is really look for the right audiences. And really understand who your audience is and who you're looking to target. Because on Facebook, you can target by demographic, education, relationships. You can target by device, and not only by device, but you can target by carrier. Or you can target by a device brand, or even down to the type of device it is. Because I don't know if you're aware of this, but on Android devices, they all monetize very differently. A lot of the higher end devices like the Galaxy 5, the Galaxy 4, the Note 3, those all have generally higher in-app purchase rates because it takes a lot of dollars to actually buy into those devices versus some of the free Android devices that are in the market. So leverage Facebook and look to target by device. Also look at keywords and interests. What are those keywords that people would search for if they were looking for in your game, as an example? And then really, really look at generating volume of installs from custom lookalike audiences. So anything you have, phone numbers, email address, any type of device identifier, if you share that with the partner or you have your own data analytics team in-house, look to leverage that and find those custom lookalike audiences. Those perform fantastically. Now here's a look at a mobile games marketing campaign that we did, and we do many of them. This takes a look at what you can do from a segmentation standpoint. And so you can see how much heavy lifting is required there and why you should look at programmatic platforms to help you do this. So to date, as an example, Fixu has generated 20 million installs on Facebook for our customers and our clients. So you can see here, start with a game company that says, I want to target male and female, so 2 genders. Then there's different age groups that they're looking at targeting across male and female. So now you've got 2 genders, 5 age groups, and then they provided us with, here are the interests that we believe the audience that we're looking to achieve for our game are interested in. So then we looked at 10 interest groups across Facebook to find those users. And then they said that they wanted to acquire users in 5 different geographies, so we did that. And then they wanted to target it on iOS and Android, so 2 platforms. So all of a sudden, you have over 1,000 different campaigns that you could actually be having set up to target all those micro-segments. And if you have the right platform or the right tools, or you're working with the right company to do that, or even if you can do it yourself, the idea of micro-segmenting is really important because you can really craft your message to be very specific to either the custom lookalike audiences that you find, the demographics you're after, the geographics, or the interests that are there. So you can see how complex it gets very quickly. So tools and technology to programmatically buy on Facebook and not just run a Facebook campaign, but actually optimize around it is really essential. So as I mentioned, 1,000 discrete campaigns. Let's take a look at interest, custom audiences, and lookalikes. So here's where you explore interests for correlations. And then you can look at companies, again, I use Fixu as an example because we do this very well. We have a tool that expands an audience up to 10 times the volume that somebody would normally get through Facebook by looking at specific interests or custom audiences and lookalikes. And then you can actually see up to about a 60% improvement if you leverage those tools within Power Editor, or again, using the company that can help you highly optimize around it. So I'd like you to take a quick look at this. This is a pretty large sample size. It's 124 mobile game marketing campaigns. And through this campaign was generated over 8 million installs. So not a small sample size. We're not talking 100. We're talking 8 million. So you can see if you're using the right programmatic buying platform on Facebook, you can actually drive down your cost per click and get over a 10x improvement on the click-through rate. If you look at the conversion rate, we were able to achieve an 11 times improvement on conversions. And then if you look at the purchase rate, based on the game company's baseline that we were marketing, or the multiple game companies, it was a 1.4x improvement rate on in-app purchases. That's because, again, leveraging audience, leveraging data, whatever data you have, you're finding a more valuable user. You're not finding just any random user that's going to click on any random ad and hopefully convert into a long-term user that's going to spend on an IAP. So it's really, really important to leverage whatever data you can have and whatever data Facebook has to help you target those users. And then if you can take a look at cost per purchasing user, we had a 28% improvement over the campaigns they were running on Facebook before. So again, sometimes you have to take a look at this as well. All day long we hear companies come to us and say, I want this CPI, I need to target this CPI. It's not always just about a CPI. It's not about being the cheapest source of a CPI, because Facebook isn't. Facebook is not the cheapest source from a CPI standpoint. But when you look and you actually measure your returns, whether you're using a tracking partner to track your attribution, somebody like a Has Offers or a Kochava or even Fixu, we have our own tracking and analytics platform. If you're using that and you're tying that back to the paid media, you should be able to see where your best ROI is coming from. So don't just look at CPI, look at CPI, look at volume, and look at your ROI that you're going to get back from running these campaigns. This is another thing. It's pretty new as in the last few months as far as activity around this and people leveraging this. And again, this is about leveraging the entire mobile app marketing ecosystem. You probably have heard of retargeting and reengagement. How many people here have done that today? Hands, show of hands? Okay, so awesome. There are some people here who have done it, significantly less than have run a Facebook campaign or a Twitter campaign or other forms of mobile app marketing. Retargeting and reengagement is a really great thing that you can leverage on Facebook, but also through a programmatic buying platform that has a real-time bidding platform underneath it. So retargeting and reengagement is about reviving those lapsed users, driving the right behavior. And then, anybody know of deep linking? Anybody here know what deep linking is? All right, good, we got a few. So deep linking is the ability to drive a user back into your game, but to a specific point in your game, not to the start screen. So when you're doing re-engagement or retargeting, you can drive them to a specific offer on a specific page in your game. So for example, you could go to a company like ours, or you could run your own campaigns, look at segmenting your audiences. You could come up with your whales and give them one offer. You could come up with somebody that's made 2 or 3 in-app purchases, provide them with another offer, maybe 50% off a different in-app purchase. And then you may look at a segment that's your low users that are active, but they're not currently spending in your app, and target them with a different message. And leveraging Facebook or a programmatic buying platform, somebody can click through on that specific offer that's targeted to them and their device, and land them specifically in the app on that offer that no one else can see except for that target segment. So it's something to take a look at, because as you look at retargeting and re-engagement, you can actually revive existing users that just may have forgot about the game. It may be on their device. It may be deleted recently. Retargeting and re-engagement, if the app's been deleted or the game's been deleted, it'll take them to the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store for download. And if it is on the device, it'll wake that game up or that app, and if you're using deep linking, we'll drive them to that specific offer page. So it's something to consider when you're forming your marketing budgets. This is a case study of a card battler game campaign, and the goal is to drive players at volume. And we took a look at doing a lot of segmentation tactics that I mentioned before. We optimized on creatives, interests, lookalikes, audience, and LTV. That's something to not leave out of the mix is creative. You can optimize creative. just by leveraging different images, different keywords, etc. And you can see the results. So cost per install, we got as low as 65 cents for specific segments and about 78 cents overall. Then we looked at cost per returning loyal user. So we measure loyal users at Fixu as somebody that comes back to the app 3 or more times. We had to pick something to normalize around. And you can see we drove $1.43 on average and as low as $1.02 for different segments. And then the return on advertising spend for this card battler app and the specific game company was over 60%. This is another case study from another game. It's a sports simulation game. For this campaign, we drove over 500,000 conversions. We were driving over 4,000 conversions per day. And at some peaks, we were driving 11,000 conversions a day through Facebook. So again, through optimization and through the programmatic buying and getting ahead of the curve from a CPI basis, you can actually really drive down your costs as you're optimizing creative, lookalike audiences, segments, et cetera. So you can see our conversion rate we were driving was 55%, again, because of audience. It was the data that we were able to target. This game company worked very closely with us on defining their audience and who they felt their demographic was, what education level they were, et cetera. And then the cost per install was driven as low as 76 cents on average and 49 cents for a US segment. So if you take a look at that, one thing to really understand, which is interesting, is so a performance team and a platform will see CPMs fluctuate as much as 300% during the campaign. But despite that, the CPI was held within a specific range. So again, if you're doing this programmatically and you're targeting the right audience and you're optimizing around the results, you can actually be paying higher CPIs, but getting a more valuable user. So Twitter's new for a lot of people. We've been involved with Twitter since, correct me, April, back when they were beta testing the Twitter app install card. So prior to the press announcement that Twitter had, we had run hundreds of campaigns for a good handful of clients on Twitter. So let's take a look at the reach of Twitter. So it has a very significant reach with 200 million monthly active mobile users. This is their new mobile app promotion product suite. It's the Twitter card. It appears in the timeline or the search function that you're using with Twitter. And it offers very unique targeting. And if you take a look, this is actually a brand that we did run on Twitter, and we generated phenomenal results on behalf of this quick serve chain. The nice part about Twitter is you have very unique targeting. Again, spend your money across different platforms where you can leverage data. There's a lot of data that Twitter has. It's a huge, basically, fire hose of data, but they have been able to manage it and then offer this to you as a game company to do the right targeting. So you can look at followers, so you can leverage kind of brand advocacy. You can do lookalike audiences similar to a Facebook, so it's basically finding users similar to who you're following. You can look at interests, so you can resonate with users through their interests. Twitter will do keyword targeting. So again, if your game has specific keywords that you're looking for, the Twitter platform will scour their entire data flow and target ads to those specific keywords. And then also through search, very similar functionality there. Location, pretty easy. Mobile, you can actually target by device, by platform, et cetera. Target by gender. And then as you know, Twitter has purchased a lot of TV analytics companies and kind of TV platforms along the way. And you can actually use that to target TV reach for users that are talking about specific shows. And then you can also do tailored target segments as well with Twitter. Deep linking, we touched on this earlier. This is definitely something that you should look to leverage, whether you're using Twitter or Facebook or programmatic buying through an RTB platform, a real-time bidding platform. Again, you can direct somebody to a specific page in an app. You can generate re-engagement of an app that has probably gone quiet or a game that's gone quiet on a user's device. You can target promotions. You can do branding with deep linking. It's something that you should really consider during your next app build and leveraging for your user acquisition. This is Twitter versus some other sources. People have been asking us, oh, what's the CPI on Twitter? What does this look like? So remember, while CPI is a valuable metric, it doesn't necessarily tell the entire story of social app marketing. So here's some overall data to look at. This is overall Fixu client spend month to date. So Facebook, you're looking at about a $3.32 average CPI. Some of the case studies I showed you were much, much lower. It really depends on your game, your app, what type of brand you have carrying with it. Twitter was looking at about a $2.24 CPI. Display, again, if you're using high optimization, $2.10 CPI. And an RTB platform, which is something you should all be looking at for programmatic buying, looks at about $1.71 because it's done on an auction basis, and you can bid on huge amounts of inventory worldwide. So as an example, the Fixu mobile DSP has a reach of 1.3 billion users worldwide and has access to 5 billion ad impressions on a daily basis. And again, through programmatic buying, you can win auctions on ad inventory at very low rates. And then there's plenty of things you could take advantage of through RTB, such as video, such as private exchanges, et cetera, again, that map to your audience. So always think about the data and always think about who you're trying to target. This was a major quick service chain. Again, not games related on this one, but you can see the cost per loyal enrollment that was driven through Twitter as you compare it to display, Facebook, and RTB. In this case, Twitter was one of the lowest CPIs in relation to loyalty metrics for this company. We won't go too much into what Fixu is all about, because I know you're here to ask questions. I want to leave some time for that. But this is something that you should really take a look at. This is a visual of programmatically optimizing in real time. So you can see when you're doing programmatic buying and optimization, optimization, again, cuts across many things. Creative, it cuts across ad networks, it cuts within ad networks, across social channels, et cetera. But you can see the different CPIs that you're able to achieve through programmatic optimization. So if you take a look at the graph on the left, it's a 95-cent CPI, and the graph on the right, after applying programmatic optimization, falls down to 74 cents. So it's really about getting in front of the curve and understanding where the volume and traffic is coming from and bidding programmatically in the right direction. So just a quick little plug, Fixu is a partner of Facebook. We're one of the only companies, there's a group of them out there, that is an ads API partner and also a mobile measurement partner. So there are some mobile measurement partners that I mentioned earlier in my conversation. We're one of both. So we have access to data and access to buy the media at the same time, so we can highly optimize around that. Using tools that we've built in-house, as well as some of the Facebook tools that have been provided. We also support mobile installs and re-engagement through Facebook. And for Twitter, we are also a mobile app conversion tracking partner and an ads API partner. Again, allowing access to measuring the data, allowing us access to the data flow, post-click and post-install. So again, we can highly optimize around that. So again, whether you choose a company like Fixu to work with or you're doing it on your own, really leverage the data, look at optimizing that data, look for a platform that can help you do that. And look for valued partners of, when you look at social for Facebook and Twitter, you can go to like the Twitter page, and they have their mobile marketing partners there. Just look to see what they're doing and what type of results they've been generating. This is just a quick sneak peek. You'll see this a lot of times in the press. This is our cost per loyal user index for June. This is a little aside from social marketing, but this is just mobile app marketing in general. This, again, loyal user is somebody that has gone through and used an app 3 or more times. Right now, it's reaching an all-time high at $2.23. A lot of this was driven by World Cup inventory that was purchased and the DSPs, such as us, having to pay more for inventory during this time frame. But this gives you a good look at a cost per loyal user index, and that'll be released, if it hasn't already, shortly in the news. That's it. Thank you.